From the Gerd Boyle studio at OPB, this is Think Out Loud. I'm Dave Miller. A recent study by Pew researchers found that half of U.S. adults under 50 get health and wellness information from influencers on social media and on podcasts. Often that information does not come from actual health professionals, and the line between good information and advertising is getting blurrier by the day. Ashley Haas is an assistant professor of marketing at the University of Portland. Jonathan Garcia is an associate professor and director of the public health graduate program at Oregon State University. They both join me now. It's great to have both of you on Think Out Loud.
Thanks so much. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having us.
I want to start with a chorus of voices that we found online. It is not hard to find health and wellness messaging on social media. It seems that it's hard not to be bombarded by these messages.
My 5 unconventional healthy habits.
What wellness trend should we talk about today? Ozempic.
Did you know that a low-dose nicotine patch may be able to treat long COVID?
I'm someone who actually considers the food I put in my body. Here's everything I eat in a day.
What's up, guys? This is my base supplement stack I recommend to every single busy dad or busy professional trying to feel and perform their best every single day.
Today, I'm going to show you how to make a drink that helps with belly fat, boosts your immune system, and has gut healing properties.
Okay, I don't want to jinx it, but I swear since taking a liposomal vitamin C in the morning, I don't get sick, or if I do, it's so mild.
I'm going to break down my entire morning wellness routine as a 33-year-old who wants to feel good and also look good.
As soon as I wake up, I take my Mary Ruth multivitamin with hair growth. I have noticed...
Okay, actually, in that recent Pew study, only 17% of health and wellness influencers were conventional medical professionals like doctors or dentists or nurses. So who are these influencers?
Yeah, that's a great question. Typically, they're just people who maybe found a passion in health and wellness. They may not be certified. They may have some sort of coaching certification that they have paid for and gone through. But for the most part, they're just kind of regular consumers like you and me.
You mentioned coaches. 31% of influencers in this study describe themselves as coaches. What is a coach? What does it take to become a coach?
Yeah, it depends. And the word coach can be used quite loosely, I think. So there are some certifications where, like, for example, one that comes to mind is the Jay Shetty certification of being like a lifestyle coach. That's just somebody who decided to create a certification and put their name on it and go from there. So it depends. There are also, other kinds of credentials in coaching. Maybe you are a personal trainer or you go to school for something like that. So it really depends on what coach they are.
Jonathan, I want to play another ad. Let's have a listen.
Up in the morning is slam some electrolytes and minerals. I do that with Cage Hydration. And then after breakfast, I'm throwing back a multivitamin and an omega-3. That's going to help with recovery. Fast forward to my pre-workout stack. 30 minutes prior to training, I throw back a clean burn. This is L-carnitine. This is really the only supplement that I recommend for burning fat, for metabolism support. And of course, the supplement I think every single person should be taking regardless of your body composition goals, whether you're trying to burn fat, build muscle, do both, or you just want your brain to function better, creatine monohydrate. 5 grams a day, that is a non-negotiable for me. And that's it. That's what I take. No fluff, just the essentials. You can build your own stack with Cage. Use code PERK for 20% off.
Jonathan, what stands out to you in that ad?
Well, of course, the thing that stands out to me is the end where he uses the information that he provides to then promote products, right? And so if we're thinking about the democratization of information and folks providing medical information widely, and then coupling that with an advertisement that sort of sneaks in at the end after the influencer establishes credibility, I think it's important to observe that this is a way in which marketing is becoming more democratic and more accessible.
Ashley, one thing that stands out to me is the implication that this list of, something like 5 different products, it's simple and straightforward. This is all you need. No fluff. It's just these 5 things do every day at these exact times. It's a different, I guess, definition of what is streamlined and simple than what I'm used to. But what do you hear in that particular ad?
Yeah, I'd hear similar to what Jonathan just said. Like, it sounds using these fancy words, kind of playing on people's vulnerabilities, and not specifically in that, but talking about like, this is my routine, or let's target some belly fat or something, and these are the things that I can do. Then followed up by the code at the end where they are actually getting compensated for promoting those products or making money off of it, whether it's them getting free products or getting paid to do so. For me, being somebody who has studied influencers for many, many years and interviewed and met many influencers, it makes me feel a little icky, to be honest, because again, just when it comes to health and wellness, that's such an important thing, and the things that we put in our body, if they're not actually regulated or tested, it can be a little misleading.
Jonathan, who's most vulnerable to being taken in by misleading health and wellness information?
That's such a great question, Dave. And I think that leads to one of the findings of this Pew survey, which indicates that these health and wellness influencers and the information they provide are actually reaching Hispanic, Black, and Asian folks the most, and the uninsured. And so compared to 36% of white respondents who say they use it to make health and lifestyle changes, 48% of Hispanics, 43% of Black people, and 44% of Asian people who responded said that. And compared to uninsured, it was 53% of uninsured said that. And so when we think about these numbers, we see that there is a disproportionate effect probably on folks who are maybe traditionally disenfranchised from the medical system, and who may not have access to conversations with their medical providers. I mean, so when we think about where the problem is, I think it's in the fact that medical providers don't have sufficient time to talk to their patients. I think it extends way beyond social media influencers to the way that medical care is structured, especially with corporate medicine, and the fact that doctors sometimes only have 10 to 15 minutes to relate to a patient and don't have the time to establish a relationship. And when social media influencers are telling us about their lived experience, they're connecting with me on a personal level about their own journey of weight loss or using creatine to help them think better, it makes me compelled to listen to them, because they're essentially establishing a relationship. And not only that, I can interact with them and comment and follow them over time. So essentially, they're doing more to establish a relationship than those who might have a better handle on credible information.
Ashley, you wrote a dissertation a few years ago focused on micro-influencers. And as you said, you talked to some of these people. What did you learn about how they foster the kinds of parasocial connections that Jonathan is talking about? What are the techniques that they explicitly acknowledge that they're employing?
Yeah, and I want to be very clear, they are actual techniques, right? And being a social media influencer is another full-time job. So one thing I did learn, and part of my dissertation, I was like, well, maybe I could do influencing too, because how I got into it, my background's in athletics. I was coaching one of my 13-year-old kids at the time. This was in 2014. She was an influencer, and it was just at that time very wholesome and fun. And we would give away golden volleyballs at tournaments, and people would come follow her and get their shirt signed. It was crazy. But with
the golden age of influencing.
It was pre all the all the brand deals and all the stuff. But now it's become so full-time, trying to make money on this, so much commercialization, which I mean, it is that anyway. But what's really, I think, interesting from what I found was not only were they very intentional in their tactics of building authenticity. So authenticity is a really hard thing to talk about, study, because we know it when we see it, but it's really hard to define. It's that feeling, and that's why I brought up kind of the icky. It's really important to come back to yourself and kind of think what do I feel when I'm following this person? But the parasocial relationship is built over time. That comes from theater and TV literature. And it's meant that I have this illusionary relationship with somebody that is two-way because somebody is on the stage doing something. With influencers, it can actually become a little bit beyond a parasocial relationship because they can respond back. I did learn some tactics where people were pretending that they did all the content and engagement themselves, but they hired virtual assistants, which I don't blame them at all. It takes forever. Some of them would stack days, so they would take the entire, Sunday that they have off and shoot content and have 40 outfits. So you think it's actually happening live when it's not at all, right? Something that I learned that I didn't love was, again, these tactics that they had, but they weren't necessarily truthful with their followers. And then a lot of the brands that influencers will post about is because they're just getting it. And so it's up to the consumer to discern, like, does this person actually use this product, or did they just get a free product and they're getting $500 or a couple $1,000s for this post?
If you're just tuning in, we're talking right now about the pitfalls of getting health and wellness information from social media influencers. Jonathan Garcia is an associate professor and director of the Public Health Graduate Program at Oregon State University. Ashley Haas is an assistant professor of marketing at the University of Portland and also the founder of the Disconnect Collective. Let's listen to another online example.
I used to get Botox, I used to use retinol, and I no longer do because when I finally started to use red light therapy every single day, my results were so good that I just didn't find the need for both of those anymore. It just kind of softens out all of my little fine lines. I actually use my mask all over my body, and not only does it help your skin, it can help with joint pain, wound healing, sore muscles. When you think of the cost-benefit ratio, it really is not that expensive because you can use it every single day. I have the current body mask and I love it because there can be a use for it for almost everyone.
Jonathan, how much does already established medical mistrust or mistrust about the public health community, how much does that play into people's desire to turn to influencers of various kinds as a response?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, especially because of the empowerment of getting information from social media, how it feels to be able to access information so readily, to seek it out, to digest it, to have that power to think about things critically that seemed inaccessible or were inaccessible before access through social media, through the internet, through AI. And so we have a lot of tools that are empowering people and that can inspire great conversations if they bring those conversations to their providers. But the problem is that when you don't have that relationship, when you don't have access to begin with, you can take that information into your own hands and make decisions without consulting someone who knows more deeply about the technical issues involved, right? And so when someone is traditionally disenfranchised from the medical system, either because of intergenerational trauma, there are many communities like Latinx communities who have received intergenerational trauma from mistreatment. In a study on pre-exposure prophylaxis for Black men who have sex with men, several men cited Tuskegee as a reason why they mistrusted using PrEP as a way to prevent HIV. In a study that
just for folks who aren't familiar with that, where Black men were given syphilis and not told about it and had devastating consequences.
Exactly. And so these are real historical events that have remained in people's social and cultural existence, right? And have been transferred generation after generation as a reason why we should be reluctant to trust the medical establishment. And so when you have social media that resonates with that experience, that questions traditional medicine, or that offers information in a variety of ways that doesn't coincide with what their providers are saying, then it becomes even more difficult for people to access the care they need.
Ashley, I want to play one more. There's no way to call it. I think nothing to call it besides an ad. Let's have a listen.
Come along with me for a busy workday and see how I've been prioritizing my health and wellness along the way. So once I get home from my workout, which I absolutely love, the first thing I always do is grab a greenhouse ginger shot. This is one of those small habits that I've been doing for years, and it really helps me take care of my immune system so that it can take care of me. I also feel like this gets me in a healthy mindset for the rest of the day. It's made from certified organic ingredients, including full spectrum ginger and turmeric. Plus, it's got black pepper extract, and it helps me feel my absolute best throughout the day. After doing some emails, the team arrives for our shoot day. I love it when the team comes in. I love having a big, healthy lunch. Sometimes I'll even have a second greenhouse ginger shot after lunch. I love how they sell these in the large box size for those of us who are obsessed with them.
So, Ashley, there have been infomercials for decades, sort of as seen on TV products for a very long time, brands making false health claims to sell more products for a very long time. Well before electronic media, there were patent medicine snake oil salesmen. So it's not like there haven't been either total BS claims or wildly overblown claims people have made for centuries or probably millennia. So what is new about what's happening now?
Yeah, I think what's new is the rate of information and the proliferation of it. We can't get away from social media, and that's at the Disconnect Collective. What we do is talk to people about their relationship with technology. So if you're somebody who wakes up first thing in the morning, and that's when your brain is getting ready for the day, and you're scrolling through content and seeing things like this, whatever you put into your body is what you're going to put out. And with short form content, it will often lead to increasing amounts of anxiety, again, throughout your day. So if you're doing that first thing in the morning, then you have a coffee break, then you're on the toilet doing this, like you're not getting away from it. So it is not new, the tactics and techniques that people are using, but the amount of content that we are bombarded with, and it puts us in an overwhelm, right, where we can't discern, and it's called filter failure, where you can't filter out what's true, what's not, what's useful. Then we see a puppy video we're super excited about. Then somebody's talking about our belly fat, which maybe we might feel, very bad about, and we want to have some sort of quick fix. And that's, again, something marketing has always been like, well, here's the quick fix that's going to do it. And especially when it comes to health and wellness, your body, there's really not quick fixes. Like, it comes with a lot of other things. And I do think Jonathan talked about earlier, like there are wonderful ways that we can empower people with social media, but when it's not in conjunction with providers, with other people, then this is when it gets to be a problem if you're just listening to this one person. And again, we don't know in that, what the clip you just played for me, my brain went to, oh, somebody wrote this for her. And oftentimes that's what brands do, is good brands will give an influencer and say, hey, please make sure the product's in the picture, and, you say the name of the product. Other ones will say, we need you to read this exact script. And that's, for me, as somebody who has experience in that, and I don't know, it could be anything, but it felt a little more curated. So for me, that would be I don't know if I'm going to listen to that.
Jonathan, in recent years, social media platforms have become less active in moderating their content, not more. What role do the platforms themselves play in this conversation?
That's a great question. I think that with any evolution in the way information is provided, we also, as a society, need to determine how to govern that, right? And so whether it is policies that have people be careful about not sharing misinformation that might harm people. And we did see fact-checking become a regular policy for a period of time, and fact-checking go away as a strategic approach to not sift out misinformation more recently. And so policies that fact-check, policies that develop ethical codes for people sharing information on social media, all of those are approaches that would be great to continue to implement. And I really also agree with that point about needing to talk to other people about the content you engage with on social media. For example, in Latinx families that I engaged with during COVID-19 who were receiving misinformation about vaccines. And, if you remember, people were talking about vaccines having chips in them, or vaccines causing sterilization, a variety of misinformation that was being offered. And when families talked about these issues at the kitchen table, or when they talk with often their children who were savvy with social media, or who helped and navigated information overload with their parents, actually, it led to really constructive conversations that supported, the proper use of information. And so sometimes it's not providers, sometimes it's talking about it with your own family.
Ashley, you were nodding there. You have a minute left if you want to just jump on to what Jonathan was saying.
Yeah, I'd just love to say, you kind of talked about these tech companies, and my students know this, and my friends and family know this. I think that it's time for them to take responsibility for the intentionality that they have done when it comes to designing these platforms. And it was very strategic to roll back content moderation. I don't think that that's okay, especially considering the amount of money that they're making off of our data. We're in a time now where consumers are becoming more aware. There are other countries across the United States, other countries across the world who are having people under 15, 16 years old, Australia, France, others not being on social media. I do think that in the research that we do, we are not looking at adults and the elderly and how that's impacting our brains as well, and how it's impacting our relationships in life. But I do think that besides having laws and things in place, also, I wish that there was some sort of personal responsibility, because, again, these are very intentional. There was the trial that happened last month or 2 months ago in California over social media addiction, and that comes along with this misinformation and all of that as well.
Ashley Haas and Jonathan Garcia, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Ashley Haas, Assistant Professor of Marketing at the University of Portland, founder of the Disconnect Collective. Jonathan Garcia is an Associate Professor and Director of the Public Health Graduate Program at Oregon State University. Thanks so much for tuning in to Think Out Loud on OPB and KLCC. I'm Dave Miller. We'll be back tomorrow.
Think Out Loud is supported by Steve and Jan Oliva, the Rose E. Tucker Charitable Trust, Ray and Marilyn Johnson, the Susan Hammer Fund of Oregon Community Foundation, and the Lang Svingard Family Fund.